And welcome to the new series. The big story dominating the news, Joe Biden's withdrawal from Afghanistan has not gone well.
After 2 decades of deadly conflict, the US has left Afghanistan.
Humiliated and now replaced by the enemy they came to fight 20 years ago.
The president defended the evacuation mission despite chaos near the airport.
If this isn't failure, what does failure look like?
I'm not surprised Biden struggled with Afghanistan. He can barely deal with stairs. It's ludicrous. Kabul's in chaos, and who's in charge? Slippy Joe and Captain Bumbletits. They look like each other's carers. You wouldn't want them running a school fete, let alone a war, would you? Biden would fall asleep and Boris would fuck the cake. You know he would. You're now all imagining that cake. Biden's hopeless. Look how naive he was about the withdrawal.
The likelihood there's going to be the Taliban overrunning everything and owning the whole country is highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely. Have you seen what you left behind? The Taliban has access to $85 billion of American military equipment, including 75,000 vehicles, 200 aircraft, and 600,000 weapons. It's nuts. We've actually got a photo of the US troops when they left Kabul. One thing that baffled me, and I'm sure you're the same, taking control of helicopters, I get. Taking control of these, I find confusing. How can you be into Sharia law and bumper cars? I haven't read the Quran, but I'm pretty certain nobody was going, "Scream if you want to go faster!" I mean, I haven't read it. I mean, egg on my face if that's the beginning. Pretty certain it's not. It's crazy, man. When they weren't hitting the fun fair, the Taliban went on a PR blitz.
From now on, no one will be threatened and there will be no access against anybody.
No one's going to be threatened? Tell that to this newsreader. They're holding guns behind him. That's going to change the news, isn't it? Hello, everything's great, best it's ever been. If you're happy and you know it, Taliban. We shouldn't. Do you know what's really fascinating? We've actually translated what he's saying.
به نام خدا با عرض سلام و درود بر شما بیننده‌های شبکه جهانی افغانستان و ویژه برنامه پرداز باز هم شما خوش آمدید.
Talking to newsreaders, fair to say the crisis was covered differently in America compared to Britain. Here's the BBC.
Taliban leaders who've never been seen in public before have been making their first statements on Afghan soil to a world still shocked by their lightning victory.
And here's Fox News.
So it's hot boy summer in Afghanistan, and the Taliban is having the time of their life.
This lady had pity.
The scenes from Kabul International Airport are frightening and heartbreaking.
And this man had a plan.
Give me 9 guys. I'm going to walk through the streets, and I'm going to kill everyone I see, and I'm going to grab the Americans. It is not difficult.
It is. They've got 85 billion bullets. You'll have more holes in you than a Prince Andrew alibi. You're going to be... Mind you, well, he's probably sweating this week, isn't he? Mind Mind you, at least he's got a plan. Whilst thousands of Brits were stranded, look where the Foreign Secretary was.
While the Taliban were advancing, Dominic Raab was on holiday here, in Crete.
So, did he cut his holiday short? Nope. Dominic Raab stayed on holiday for 2 days after he was called back. Imagine that. What? The Taliban are back? Stranded Brits? Well, I'd love to help. But I've got paddleboarding at 2. Enrique was going to work the kinks out later. Bye. It's nuts. Have you seen the hotel where he was staying?
Mr. Raab was on holiday here, the Amarandis Hotel and Resort in Crete. It markets itself as for the privileged and perceptive.
Privileged and perceptive? Surely it would have been perceptive to leave your holiday and do your fucking job. Right? Rather than lounging around in a hotel so wanky, it offers an Instagrammable floating breakfast experience. I mean, what even is that? Who takes photos of an omelette in a hot tub? Dominic, it's Kabul. Not now. I've got some Weetabix on a lilo. That's it. Soak that milk up, you fibrous little tart. That's right. That's what Dominic likes. So, did Raab apologise? Nope. He came up with an excuse so fabulous in its bullshittery, you have to admire it.
The stuff about me being lounging around on the beach all day, just nonsense. The stuff about me paddleboarding, nonsense. The sea was actually closed.
I couldn't have been paddleboarding. The sea was closed. The sun was on a hen do. The wind was kayaking with Dame Judi Dench. Mad. It wasn't just him shirking his duties. Boris Johnson took a holiday as Kabul was about to fall. Jacob Rees-Mogg was getting pissed on GB News.
This is the Rees-Mogg cider. Let's give it a go. Oh, wow, that's real.
And Michael Gove was in a nightclub at 2 in the morning dancing like the most divorced man ever. He's like an octopus on meth, just... How are these people in charge? Are they really the best of us? And it's not just the Tories. Did you see the question this MP asked Dominic Raab about the Afghan situation?
I believe you promised that the portrait of Her Majesty would not be left in the British Embassy. So what went so badly wrong?
What went wrong? Do they have a picture of the Queen? Is it crumpled? Did they fold it? Is she covered in dicks? Who cares? It's a painting. It's not a voodoo doll. It's not like Liz is going to be in Buckingham Palace.
Oh, Jesus, it's the Taliban. I'm being tickled. Oh, they're making me dance like Michael Gove.
Mind you, if you think worrying about a painting's mad, it's got nothing compared to the German effort. Germany flew 65,000 beer cans out of Afghanistan for just 7 people on an evacuation flight. What? No, don't look at no. Don't blow that. Nice. That was actually... Are you German? That was my idea. We called it Operation Schindler's Piss. It was very good. Let's not muck around. If you were on that plane, you would definitely help yourself, wouldn't you? Can you imagine what somebody would look like if they drank 65,000 beers? Join me after the break when I'll be talking to the fantastic Katie Piper.
The person who tries to keep everyone happy often ends up being the loneliness.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I mean... Welcome back to the show. My first guest tonight is one of the most inspirational broadcasters in the country. Katie Piper is a writer, activist and TV presenter. Beginning her career as a model, she suffered a horrific acid attack which caused major burns and blindness in one eye. But since then, she's become one of the UK's most influential figures, raising support for burns victims through the Katie Piper Foundation. She's released several best-selling books, including her latest, A Little Bit of Faith. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the wonderful Katie Piper! How are you doing?
Wow.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Pleasure. So happy to see an audience.
It's
been a
pretty
long
cool,
time.
isn't it? Have you? Is this the most people you've been in front of for a while, or have you?
Do you know, I was just thinking that. Yeah, it is. It doesn't feel like it at home because it's constantly like, Mum, 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 and that feels like 1,000 children. But,
well, I was going to say, because you've got a very busy family life, but so how do you manage to write a book in the middle of that?
Well, it was an excuse to escape them all in lockdown and lock myself upstairs in the bedroom.
Was it?
And then claim to be writing when really I was just Googling cats, so...
But it's called A Little Bit of Faith, is
That's
that right?
right, yeah.
And what's it about?
So it's an affirmation book, so it's a daily affirmation.
What's an affirmation for people who might not know?
So, do you know what? Everyone in this room probably uses affirmations in a negative way. So I call it the not good enough tape, and I'm really guilty of it. And that is when we affirm to ourselves, I'm stupid, I'm fat, I'm going to mess this up, they won't want me, I won't do a good job of this. And that not good enough tape plays on our head in a loop, and it scuppers all of our dreams, our hopes, our confidence. So sometimes affirmations, positive ones, can feel obvious or repetitive, but we're all very visual, and whatever we constantly see goes into our subconscious. So for me, you mentioned in that intro, you know, what happened to me with being attacked when I was younger. My recovery was about trying to visualise a new confidence, a new self-esteem, and a whole new life. And affirmations were a big part of my life back then, and they still are now. So when the lockdown happened, like everyone else, you know, we were petrified, particularly in that lockdown one. And I thought, what can I put on Instagram that isn't just a load of rubbish that no one cares about?
Yeah.
And I thought I could read out affirmations for free, so people don't have to buy my other books and give it to them. And we just created this community of men and women. We were all messaging each other, sending each other different positive stuff, and it was really helping us in a time of a lot of uncertainty. And then my followers kind of said, don't stop this, make it into a book, collect them all, we'll contribute too. And it became that. It became life-affirming things about ourselves that we all want to believe, and sometimes we're faking it till we make it. But the more we do, then we start to really walk tall and live and breathe it.
It's very kind of like digestible in that it's an affirmation every day, isn't it?
Yes, yeah,
So
365.
So you literally kind of read it one a day and then go... It's sort of like I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but it's a really good toilet book. Like, do you know what I mean?
That is the top Amazon review right there.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? It's sort of like, you know, have a poo. Oh, yeah. And then, you don't have to have a poo, but it's... but do you know what I mean? Where you kind of like... It's a nice moment where you can sit with it, have a little think, and go, oh, yeah, I really like that. Cool. And then wait for the next one. You can't, like, binge it.
Yeah.
You're not going to, like, go, oh, just go through to April. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly.
Or can you?
Well, no, I think you're right, because I do think, sadly, and I talk about myself when I say this, I've become so used to bite-sized content on social media and news apps.
Yeah.
I really struggle to read a book, especially having kids. So I think having that small amount of information to take on every day feels more achievable.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to act on it.
Now, I thought it'd be quite fun to see, if we could skip ahead to my birthday, to see...
Oh, I hope it's a good one.
OK, yeah. On March the 23rd.
OK.
Let's have a look,
Good,
see what's what.
Good date, OK.
This is exciting. What's it going to be?
The person who tries to keep everyone happy often ends up being the loneliness.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I mean...
on, there's more.
Go to the 24.
No, it gets better.
Go on.
So underneath the affirmation, what I used to do on Instagram was break it down of how I interpreted it. So underneath, I've put, you know, what it means to me.
Yeah.
So I put, the sad fact is that if you bend over too far backwards for others, you'll end up in a situation where you're being used by people who don't have your best interests at heart. A good friendship is usually a 50-50 balance, maybe not every day and in every season, but largely overall. You should pick each other up, support each other equally. That means you'll avoid resenting those around you, and you'll find the ones who really value you.
Nice. OK. That is heavy. But true. But it's basically hang out with people that you love and they love you back.
Yeah, it's boundaries and it's avoiding people-pleasing because, like the book says, you'll end up resenting yourself and you'll end up unhappy, you know.
God. And do you... What I love... I didn't know this, but obviously I've been beavering up on you again. That sounds weird. But I love... that obviously, you know, being a public figure, you know, there's a minority of people that are, you know, trolling you and whatnot. What I love the way that inadvertently you found this perfect way of dealing with it, and it's your mum, isn't it?
I pray she doesn't watch this show. She's going to kill me. So basically...
This is such a cool story.
I'm so fortunate. I have such a good relationship with my mum. She's a retired school teacher, and she was strict, but a very dedicated, loving parent. So then if people troll me online and it's factually inaccurate, my mum goes on and, like, trolls them back.
I love this.
But in a very middle-class, polite way.
Yeah.
You know, she would never swear or be aggressive. And she corrects their grammar, tells them off, tells them, actually, it can't have been me because I don't own a red jacket, because I don't like it. You know, I've even seen her in some of the newspaper comment sections telling people off.
So has your mum got, like, a burner account?
Yeah.
Where she's people?
Yeah, she's probably got, like, 6 Nokias all lined up.
We should talk about the foundation. It's the Katie Piper Foundation.
Yes.
And I understand that the lockdown has hit the charity quite hard, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a difficult time for lots of charities.
For most charities, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we lost a quarter of our income because, you know, our fundraising was face-to-face events.
Yeah.
But the need for our services increased. We were very much stayed open. We set up a new service called a survivor support line, where we were able to take some of the patients from the NHS, but other burn staff got deployed to different departments for COVID. So you're able to pick up people from the NHS. It was a phone number that people could call. Our psychotherapist was part of it to give advice. And we took all our psychotherapy, physiotherapy, all onto Zoom, the dreaded Zoom, where everyone with their kind of handheld things trying to do all their rehab, which wasn't ideal, but it was better than having nothing at all.
Yeah.
You know, we have an in-person rehab centre in St Helens, and now we're just starting to take our patients back in person for rehab. So, but it's hard, you know. I was like running on a treadmill trying to do like fundraising in my lounge and stuff like that.
Yeah. Where can people go if they want to donate?
You can go to the katiepiperfoundation.org.uk. You can donate, you can volunteer, you can fundraise, and you can also come to us for support and advice, whether you're a burn survivor or whether you're a loved one, you know, family member, who also does indirectly become affected too.
Now, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is, like, you're so busy, but like, you're like doing songs of praise. Are you like the new presenter? One of the new presenters?
So I started working with Songs of Praise, started presenting on Loose Women as well. It's quite a cross-section.
Yeah, there is, yeah.
But I suppose my passion has always been connecting with people, finding out about people and learning about their lives. And I suppose that's a great position to be able to do that on those shows and chat to them.
My thing with Songs of Praise, is there a way of sort of zhuzhing it up a bit? Because, I mean, you know, when you see gospel and if we have Beyonce and Sam Cooke and Aretha Franklin, it's still a bit... my trousers are all grey. This kind of music you can gently let a fart out to. You know? Do you know what I mean?
Well...
Is there a way of kind of getting some cymbals and like crowd surfing Vickers? Can you...
I always wear a stiletto and fake tan the night before filming, so I feel like that's quite bougie.
It's very bougie, but I mean, I haven't watched it recently, but we need the Vickers to do that. Like...
You're trying to talk about rebranding God. I feel like he's quite much bigger than us.
but I'm just trying to help the guy. or the girl.
I know what you mean, but actually we should never attach, like, that kind of image to any kind of... Because all faith and religion is hope, and we all need hope, you know, and we shouldn't attach any kind of, like, twee or tawdry kind of image to it, because then we, like, carry shame. And I was worried about saying I was a Christian in my world and my job, because...
I'm not saying you shouldn't be worried. I'm just trying to help.
I lost followers when I said it, actually.
Did you?
Because I think for some people, they don't want you to be sort of, like, religious or political.
God, it would have been
publicly.
unbelievable if your followers went down to 12. You can call them disciples.
What was your favourite hymn at school?
I used to love... there was a song... We had a teacher who used to really give it some stick, and it was The Virgin Mary had a baby boy. Remember that one?
Yeah,
He used to sing like this. The Virgin Mary had a baby boy. Hey, the Virgin Mary had a baby boy. And they say that his name was Jesus. And we were like... And then we go, he comes from the glory. Woo!
So quite cool.
Yeah, it was really fun.
It stuck with you?
It really did. There was a kid in our school called Gary Williams who literally used to headbang to that. Like, I'm not kidding you, he was like that. He used to dress as a jockey. So, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, it's a real pleasure. Thanks for asking me.
Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful Katie Piper. That's great. Now it's time for the return of life lessons. This week, I asked some of my favourite comedians the one thing they would like a scientist to solve.
I tell you what I would love scientists to prove, and it's the most boring thing that no one wants to hear, that the solution to a long life and a healthy body is, ready, a medium amount of most stuff some of the time. Now, I'm on 100% a fat diet. I eat butter, but if I fart in the bath, I could literally kill a seagull with the amount of oil that fires out of my arse. You bellend, Dave. A moderate amount of stuff. No, you must exercise for 5 hours a day. Oh dear, I've got arthritis at 50 and I'm dead. Good.
What would you like scientists to solve, monkey? I don't know, animatronically independent monkeys that don't require a woman hanging out their arse.
Why do some men lie so well? Do you know what I mean? We want to know from the beginning. I want it to be some kind of app that we will know, apart from our gut, that they're a liar, because it will save us a lot of time. And you know what? The app should be called Catch a Bitch Out. I want it to be called that. Catch a Bitch Out.
The one thing I want scientists to solve is somehow making the cheese in a stuffed crust, in the crust, the same as cheese that's on a pizza. So I don't know what's going on in that stuffed crust. It's like a massive calamari they're putting in there. It's too solid, there's no stringy pull. Stop what you're doing, scientists, and get on that, because we found out with these vaccines, we know if you all work together, you can achieve big things.
The thing I would love scientists to solve is how do you stop people decimating and desecrating public toilets? I would just absolutely love not to see every type of bodily fluid. They could be nice places.
What it is, though, it's a holiday from your own toilet.
Really?
Well, yeah, you do things on holiday that you wouldn't usually do, you know, like... You'd
What, shit up the wall?
No, like, you eat things on holiday, don't usually. You have sex differently. So when people use a public toilet...
How'd you have sex
like,
differently?
Well, you do it with waiters on holiday, not your partner.
I think we're owed flying cars now. And they think that they've been teasing us about flying cars for years. And they're like, oh, we got electric car, man. Fuck your electric car, bro. We want flying cars, innit? Oh, it's a car that drives itself. Does it drive itself in the air? Then fuck off.
Now it's time for a new part of the show called The Spotlight. It's been a tough 18 months for performers, so each week I thought I'd hand the stage over to someone that I think you'd have heard of had the world not gone to shit. My guest tonight is a brilliant stand-up, so please welcome the fantastic Iain Simmonds!
Thank you very much. I will deal with the very wobbly elephant in the room first and foremost. I have a medical condition called cerebral palsy. Give me a cheer if you're a fan of cerebral palsy. Doesn't usually get a cheer, guys. I like you. I particularly like these guys over here. You really went for it. You didn't cheer, mate. What is your deal? Are you more of a muscular dystrophy kind of guy? Fair enough. What is your name, mate?
Toby.
Toby?
Yeah.
Great. And can I ask you just a very easy question to get to know you, Toby?
Of course you can.
Cool. What's your favourite disability? Just in case everybody at home didn't see that, there's a room of 300 people, and I've managed to pick on the only blind guy. First time doing stand-up on TV, immediately cancelled. Great. Oh, Jesus. You can't even play disability chop trumps. You beat me every day of the week. Oh, fuck. Anyway... Let me tell you all about my favourite thing about having cerebral palsy. This is fine. Yeah, you'll appreciate this, right? Because, right, my favourite thing about having cerebral palsy, it means I'm registered disabled, right? And because I'm registered disabled, it means that I get all the benefits of being a straight, white man. Yeah. None of the guilt. Oh! Lovely. Isn't that lovely, Toby? I got diagnosed with cerebral palsy when I was 2 years old. What happened was I wasn't walking or talking at that point, and my parents were rightly concerned, so they took me to the doctor. Now, I've got to tell you this. It's my favourite detail of the story. My GP's name, and she's still my GP, to this day, her name is Dr. Pepper. But my parents went to see her, and they ran a few tests on me. A couple of weeks later, she invited them back into her office, and she said, Mr. and Mrs. Simmonds, please take a seat. And my dad's kind of an informal guy. He went, nah, don't worry about that, just use our first names. And she went, OK, Fanta, lemonade, take a seat. Don't worry, that's not their real names. I've used a pseudonym to protect the identity of Mr. and Mrs. Vimto. She said, take a seat. I don't know really how to tell you this, but I've got some bad news. Unfortunately, your son has cerebral palsy. And my dad said, well, what does that mean? And she said, well, it's difficult to tell because people with cerebral palsy respond differently depending on the type of cerebral palsy that they have. Some people with cerebral palsy never walk. Some people with cerebral palsy never talk. But what is universal amongst the cerebral palsy community is they always have poor coordination patterns, and therefore, unfortunately, your son will never be able to juggle. That was the third thing that she told my parents. Yeah, he may not be able to walk, OK, he may not be able to talk, fine, but for God's sake, stop investing in clown college. He's never going to be a professional juggler. To be fair, I think it mattered more to Dr. Pepper than it did my parents, because she was on a unicycle at the time. Now, you can easily look at someone called Dr. Pepper and assume that she's not very good at her job, right? Because she's got a silly name. But she is. She's a cracking GP, right? It's just that there's not a lot known about cerebral palsy. Even to this day, doctors don't know exactly why I am disabled, right? The only thing that Dr. Pepper was able to tell me definitively is that it happened before I was born. Okay, it happened when I was in the womb. What she thinks happened was 2 weeks before I was due to be born, the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck. And it meant that my mum had to be rushed in for an emergency C-section, and they think that the starvation of oxygen to the brain is the reason why there's a scarring in the brain tissue. Now, although that doesn't necessarily explain why I am disabled, it does explain why I'm into asphyxiation. Guys, you have been absolutely lovely. I have been Iain Simmonds. I've only got one thing left to say, and that is a big fuck you to Dr. Pepper, because guess who can juggle?
Ladies and gentlemen, Iain Simmonds! Join me after the break when I'll be chatting to one of the most iconic voices in the country, Iain Stirling.
I get that quite a lot. Like, people be like, because they'll see me do stand-up, and I'm like, that's my childhood ruined.
Oh, really? Right, of course.
I've went from, like, hey, kids, let's look at birthday cards, to, like, I was wanking on this train.
Yeah. My final guest tonight is a stand-up comedian with one of the most iconic voices in the country. Iain Stirling is a presenter, writer and stand-up comedian. After a BAFTA-winning stint in children's TV, he then became the instantly iconic voice of Love Island.
Sometimes Molly May imagines Tommy in his boxing gloves. Sometimes Tommy pretends Molly May's an acoustic guitar.
Since then, he's written a best-selling book, created his own sitcom.
You barely learn the lines we give you.
The scripts you write are so bland, they're barely worth learning.
Fuck off, Ian.
And now he's back on the road with his new tour, Failing Upwards. Please welcome the wonderful Iain Stirling!
We still can't touch.
We still can't touch. Do you know, I was thinking that.
Not because of COVID, because of the court case.
I was thinking...
I know where you live.
Do you?
You were not happy about it. That's a joke. No,
but you know, you don't...
No. I would like to make it clear at this point that I've not been in front of an audience in about 2 years.
But it's
That's
a
what
smooth
happened
start.
There. I know. I'm so
like,
sorry.
Hello, everyone. I've sexually abused him. I know where he lives.
And see me on tour. Goodbye.
But I was thinking that when I was watching that kind of reel of you. Do you get that sort of thing where young people are going up to you now going, I used to watch you when I was little?
Yeah, so I'll meet like a 22-year-old at like a festival.
Yeah.
If I'm performing at a festival, and then they'll be like, oh, let's just say they've taken alcohol.
Yeah. They've taken a pill form of alcohol, yeah.
They've taken alcohol and they've got a very itchy tongue.
Yes.
And they'll be like, oh my God, man, I used to watch you when I was at school.
Yeah.
You've changed so much. And I'm looking at this guy in like a bucket hat and like pants and nothing else, being like, I think we've both moved on with our life.
I liked you when I was 6, and I still like you. It's just kind of...
I like you when you were 6 and now you're old and scary. I get that quite a lot. Like, people be like, because they'll see me do stand-up, and I'm like, that's my childhood ruined.
Oh, really? Right, of course.
I've went from, like, hey, kids, let's look at birthday cards, to, like, I was wanking on this train.
Yeah. But here's the...
Listen.
But here's the...
Right, I'd like to make it...
Wait. What I was going to say, because you've hit upon a really sort of interesting facet of your life, because clearly... but clearly, when you said you were wanking on a train...
Yeah.
You were joking.
Yes.
But because you're showbiz...
Yes.
Big, massive, famous now... Presumably, like, all the tabloids go, Iain Stirling wanks on train.
And they'll report it like, not that it was on this TV show, they'll report it like they interviewed me in person.
Yeah.
So they'll make it sound like I walked into a...
This'll be in the news tomorrow.
He said he used to look at children's birthday cards and then wank on the train.
Something like... But is that sort of a... is that something you think about now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, to be serious, it's like one of the... it's like almost debilitating at points.
Yeah.
Like, I do worry about it all the time. And I worry about it not only for me, but, like, the people around me.
Yeah.
If I do jokes to people that are, like, close to me, that they're then going to have, like, a narrative. I used to joke about my parents, for example, all the time. And it would be, like, funny.
Yeah.
And my mum and dad would done mad stuff. Like, one year, I went home to surprise my mum and dad, and I think this is why I used to love your stand-up, because I think my mum and your mum would, like, really get along.
Oh, really?
Listen to this.
OK.
I went home to see my mum and dad. They didn't know. Saturday night, I had the time off gigging, so they didn't know I was coming round.
Right.
I get into the house. They are not on the sofa. They are on office chairs, facing away from the television. I said, Mum and Dad, what are you doing? They were watching The Voice and playing along at home.
So, we should talk about the sitcom as well, Buffering.
Yes.
That was amazing. Were you pleased?
Yeah, I'm like really proud. It's like the first thing I've like. It's the first thing outside stand-up that I've made like myself that I'm like incredibly proud of. That I can be like, look, I've done that, and just like give it to someone, and not have to be like, well.
And was it completely based on your own life? Because the character is called Iain.
The character's called Iain, and he's a kids' TV presenter that hates kids. I didn't hate kids.
Yeah.
I just felt they were holding me back.
But you are back on tour.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting. So the tour's called Failing Upwards, that's right?
Yeah, failing upwards because I'm basically, like, terrible at all things life-orientated. I can't, like, organise anything.
Well, you say that, but look what you've done during the pandemic. You built a pub in your garden.
Did that.
You wrote and starred in your own sitcom. You've got a book out. You've got a new stand-up tour. You had a baby, and you've done lots of dancing videos with your wife that have made exactly so clearly nice to have her in, and but so that doesn't sort of, because I agree, whenever I see you, because I see you, we share an office, and I see you and you're normally very shabby, and your dog's but your dog's normally there and the dog looks fucked too, and you sort of, but you both look like you've had a big night, and yet you seem to do all these things. But do you know what I mean? You seem to do all these things, but you always, whenever I see you, like, hey, and you look like you've slept in a hedge. But somehow you're kind of constantly. What's your secret? Is what I'm asking.
Having people around you that are like good at organising stuff.
Right.
My wife's quite good at that.
Right.
I used to live on my own for ages.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like this, because you can't vet any of your thoughts or anything when you live on your own. So I used to just go about with like a flat cap and like football shorts on.
Yeah.
Because the only person I was like checking in with was me.
Yeah.
Is this a bit weird that I'm dressed like this? And then my brain would be like, no, I'd wear that as well. Whereas now I go to my wife and my wife goes, no, it's inside clothes.
Hang on a minute. So you literally dress yourself and then turn to your wife and say, huh?
Ta-da!
Yeah. And then she selects whether or not it's correct.
No, absolutely not. That isn't what happens. That was one of those jokes. And again, that is another one of those things. My brain goes, warning, warning. That'll be in the. No, I think so. I mean, I'll sometimes maybe if that shirt's not the right thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll bounce an idea off. I'm about to tell Russell Howard I'll wank on trains. She'll go, that's maybe an inside thought.
Yeah. But it did strike me that during the pandemic, you seemed busy, though. Did you keep yourself... You seemed like you were, like, playing, you know, FIFA on Twitch.
Yeah.
You were kind of, like, building a pub.
I kept myself busy, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Were you a Zoomer? Were you keeping in with your pals?
I didn't Zoom. I'm sort of in my 30s now, so I've not really got... Like, I've got... I think you'll know what I mean by this. I've not really got, like, friends... I've got friends, if there's like a thing to go to, I'll go to a thing. But if I was to phone my friend out of the blue and be like, hey, man, how are you? He'd be like, what's happened?
Yeah, it's funny.
Basically, I think that, like, men... put it this way, older men have got so few friends they've had to, like, invent sports, haven't they? Like, think of it, like, five-a-side football was just a man in his 40s going, 22 people.
Yeah.
Then, like, you get to 50, it's like, fuck it, tennis.
Yeah.
Let's get Steve in. Then, like, 60, it's like, squash. If Steve doesn't show up, I'll just bang it against the wall.
Yeah. So when does the new tour start?
14th of September.
And you're taping the special for Amazon, aren't you?
Yeah.
Where's that? Alexandra Palace?
Ali Pali. Alexandra
really cool,
Palace. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's amazing, right?
Yes.
I didn't even know they'd done comedy there. I just remember, like, guys dressed as Smurfs screaming 180.
Oh, right, yeah, Jesus, yeah. It took me a while then. I was like, yeah. If you'd have just said the darts, I'd have gone, oh, I know what you mean. But you were like, guys, is that when you were on methamphetamine?
Yeah. I definitely haven't quite got used to putting my, like, thoughts together yet.
Mate, you're doing great. What are you talking about?
Thanks, man.
Now, you were described, I don't know if you know this, by GQ magazine as having a voice as iconic as Attenborough's. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
It's nice to be like, obviously he's got the best voice, doesn't he?
He's got a good voice, yes.
Yeah.
Would you be interested, because he's, you know, he's getting on. No, as in he's probably going to stop doing his show at some stage. I'm not suggesting we go out and kill him because he's in the winter of existence. I'm saying, you know, he's approaching the end of his career.
Yeah.
He might want to hang up the mic.
Yeah.
Would you take on that job?
I reckon I could give it a go.
Well, I'm so glad you said that, because I'm going to play in some footage and I want you to do a voiceover. Now, I'm not going to say that you can only do it in the style of Love Island, but that is the style you're used to, so don't be afraid if that's the way you do it.
I think if I just started doing it in my normal voice, like I genuinely thought, I think I can replace Attenborough.
Yeah.
That would be fucking mental.
Yeah.
So I'll do it full Love Island.
Let's play the clip. Here we go.
Okay. Welcome to Love Jungle. The big lion approaches his lady friend. He's hornier than a group of antelope. Sniff, sniff. And on he goes. For 7 seconds of absolute pleasure.
Really good. Right. I think it could work. Good luck with the tour. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen, for the wonderful Iain Stirling! Finally tonight, it's Good Deeds. Now, this is a story about a man who refused to be defined by his history and is now helping others do the same.
Hi, I'm Michael Gross, and I started Pass the Baton. Pass the Baton is a campaign to reduce assaults against police. My mum moved to Brixton when I was 6 years old. I was in trouble from a very young age. By the time I was 8, I was in children's home. Brixton during the 80s, there was a fraught relationship between the community and the police. It wasn't good. Crime was just a way out. It wasn't a good way, but that's the only way I understood at the time. In 1985, I was suspected of an armed robbery. The police came to my house in Waterloo. I opened the door, he just put the gun in his mouth, made my escape. They had rumours that I was at my mother's house, so they came here.
At 7 a.m, 7 police armed with Smith & Wesson .38 revolvers ringed this house in Brixton. 2 entered with a search warrant looking for 19-year-old Michael Gross, but he wasn't there.
And in that early morning raid, my mum got shot. That shooting sparked the 1985 Brixton riots. Brixton just exploded. I handed myself in 3 days after that. My mum was paralysed from the chest downwards. Over the years that followed, it had a massive impact on me. And that was when I really did take control and say, you know what, it was my fault. Then I thought, I'm changing. I'm going to completely go the other way and take responsibility for my behaviour. Seeing the reaction of George Floyd and Sarah Everard and the lockdown campaigns, that really made me realise that people was ill-informed of how the police operate and what the police's job was to do. And the whole idea was to engage the community with the process of how we can improve things for the future. So that's why Pass the Baton was developed. We informed the community more about what the police do by using the police's training programme, encourage people to understand what's the best way of them to react in those conditions. The common theme has been about arrests, right? And contact with police in what I call the combat zone, yeah?
Pass the Baton is really important just to help everyone have healthier conversations because we're considering other viewpoints.
This is their principle, the 9 principles. Even if he now wants to let you go, if you don't give him your name or something to establish your identity, he's going to take you to a secure surroundings so he can do that.
I see my friends and how they feel towards the police. It's never like a positive thing because you can get stop and search for the smallest of things and then it escalates, it escalates, it escalates. So yeah, this was definitely needed.
Community engagement is critical in policing. Pass the Baton is an excellent scheme. It's about showing young people in particular that actually by having a mutual reciprocated respect with the police can go a long way, and it can prevent community tensions escalating further.
I feel like the relationship that the community has with the police ain't really that good. They haven't actually built a proper relationship. Today, I learned a lot. I definitely feel like this is gonna change the way I interact with the police officers.
Every time we actually get in contact with young people and we sort of like arm them with this information and they go and use it, they've come back and told me it works. It took a spark of hope for me to turn it around. It's a long project. It's not going to be like one short thing I'm going to do in 6 months. I think it's going to be the next 3-4 years. So anybody who wants to be involved with Pass the Baton, just get in touch. Thank you for coming today.
Thanks very much for watching the show. Good night, my friends. Good night.